Yeah. So now I'll start this session with a very warm good morning to all the participating faculty members and research scholars. So I hope you thoroughly enjoyed yesterday's session of Professor M.V. Rajam and Dr. Jitendra Giri, who very diligently explained and about the genome editing tools and how it is used through various data and various information in case of crop plants. So they gave many examples how CRISPR-Cas or double-stranded RNA-based silencing can be used for editing of genome in crop plants. And also, I believe that you are now slowly developing more fascination towards this very new technology, which has taken the whole genome world by storm. So besides having a lot of technical discussion, besides having technical component of CRISPR-Cas, the media is offering a lot of light moments also about the genome editing. So I would like to start this second day of the session with some light moments about genome editing. So there are certain CRISPR jokes which are actually taking rounds on the media platforms, which I would like to just read out in front of all of you, so that you also know that how popular this technology has become. So the first joke is like KFC asked some scientists to edit the chicken genome. So why they did so? The answer is because they wanted something very crisper. So CRISPR synonymous to more crispier. So second joke is, where do geneticists keep their vegetables? Obviously in the CRISPR drawer in the fridge. And there is one more very interesting joke which I could find is, why did the genetically modified chicken taste better than the regular one? Because it is more crispier than the earlier one. So all these jokes, they take us to the importance of CRISPR technology, that what all this technology can actually do. So jokes apart, no other technique or technology has ever been so covered widely by media, and people are boasting of its uncountable applications. So people are talking and people have a lot of hopes that how this CRISPR is going to change our life. So our today's sessions are all based on use of CRISPR-Cas through in silico bioinformatics studies, to on also how this CRISPR-Cas is useful for treating human genetic disorders, and also what are bioethical and ethical issues which are based on this upcoming technology. How uh, much we can use this technology without crossing some of the boundaries and borders which nature has already created for us. So we'll be discussing all these things throughout the day. So our first session of today is focused on bioinformatics component of CRISPR-Cas. Our expert speaker, Dr. Anamika Singh, would be taking us through various gene editing tools and biological databases which are available for in silico analysis of genomes. So I give a warm and a very great welcome to our first speaker of today, that is Dr. Anamika Singh. So I would like to share some brief background of Dr. Anamika Singh. She is a great bioinformatician. She is working a lot in sequence and proteins and DNA analysis. So, Dr. Anamika is a senior assistant professor in Department of Botany, Maitri College under Delhi University. She has gained a master's degree in botany from University of Allahabad, and she obtained her PhD in bioinformatics from Indian Institute of Information Technology, IIIT Allahabad. She has almost 10 years of teaching experience, and her area of research is into genetic engineering, molecular biology, bioinformatics, biological databases, phylogeny, molecular modeling, proteomics, genomics, drug designing, computer-based drug designing, computational biology, sequence analysis, and evolutionary computing. So she is into every frame of bioinformatics. So Dr. Singh is also a member of Indian Bioinformatics Society. She is a member of International Society of Infectious Diseases, APB Bionet, a European Federation of Biotechnology, and IAENG. So Dr. Anamika is also actively involved as reviewing research articles for different journals. She has published many research papers in reputed journals, books, and chapters. So also Dr. Anamika has guided many PhD students for their research during her tenure of almost a decade in bioinformatics area. So she is an excellent faculty. She is an excellent researcher. So I give a warm welcome to Dr. Anamika and would request her to start her session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meghna. Thanks
Thank
for a
you.
lovely word. And I hope all will enjoy this session. So
Definitely.
I will share my screen. Is it visible to all of you?
Yeah, it's coming up now.
Okay.
Yes, we all can see. I think we all can see the screen.
So I'm audible?
Yes.
Okay. Just a Thank you, Savita. Thank you so much. So, as we all are here and we all know that this is the era of science and technology, and especially this is the era for genes because now, past few years, I can say last 2 years, we all are aware with what is gene. Because before COVID, I think it is a very scientific word. Now everyone is aware what is mutation, what is new variant. So it is a very common word, but still I want to say that gene is basically the base of biological research, and we all know that it is the main ingredient of natural science or artificial biological science, and whole scenario is roaming around the gene. Because if we can see this picture, so genomics and epigenomics, so gene is the total. Yes.
Ma'am, just one request. If you can make it full screen in the slideshow mode.
Okay, okay, just is it okay?
Yeah, great.
Okay. So
Thank
genes, so there are large number of genes because within a single organism there are large amount of gene, and all the genes are compiled in such a way that they are expressing themselves extensively at different time frame. So what is the need of databases and what we can do, so you can understand with this picture that genomics is the complete set of gene which is present within any organism, plant, animal, bacteria, fungi, algae, etc. And what is the transcriptomics? That is the total RNA content. And still, if there is a DNA, there is a RNA, there will be definitely a protein expression. And if there is expression of the protein, definitely there is some metabolism going on behind all the physiological aspects of the genes and the RNA as well as in protein. So collectively, gene is the main responsible entity who can express itself in the form of phenotype. That's why there are different pictures of different colors, and that's why we all are different from each other. Okay, so as genes are there, RNAs are there, proteins, metabolomics are there. So where they all are, because suppose I am doing some research in India, in Delhi, and someone else is doing research in London, UK, Germany, France, anywhere else. It may possible that same thought of research with I am going through, he or she can also have the same thought. So it means at the same time we are doing repetition of research, isn't it? So repetition of research, to avoid this repetition, what is the need that I have to explain each and everything to someone who can store my information, who can judge that whether this research is good or not. So storing the information is very important, and that starts in early 1990s. And that is basically the genomic data sciences. So genomic data sciences, genomic sciences is whatever we are doing experiments, that is the genomic sciences. Data sciences means I am doing some research and I am compiling my data and I'm submitting my data to someone who is storing it perfectly. Is it clear to all of you, I think? And hope I'm audible too.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So genes are coming through experiments. So generating genomic information from studying the genomes of living organism, maybe organism, plants, algae, fungi, whatever there are. So you can experiments, you can have large amount of gene, you can identify gene, you can sequence gene. There are large number of sequencing methodologies nowadays. Next generation sequencing is one of the very fast and quick services. So data analysis, whatever genes you are having, so is it the genes are responsible to express themselves at certain stress situation, under drought condition, under extreme climatic changing conditions. So whatever we are studying with this experimental gene, that is called data analysis. So if we are analyzing the data, so suppose I am having 10 different organism genes and I want to analyze that what are the common things among these organisms. So now I want to analyze it. Okay. So if I'm analyzing something related to these 10 organisms, that is called data analysis. So from this place, the development of biological databases takes place, and it basically evolves to store and compile large scale of genomic data that is accessible to each and everyone. And what is the need of accessibility? Because suppose you want to search anything in Google, so there is no hindrance, there is no boundary. If I want to search on Google, I can give my keywords. If my son wants to search, if some my student wants to search, so everyone is open. So Google is accessible, open for each and everyone. Similarly, biological databases is a space, is a place where large amount of data are stored, and it can be communicated with each and everyone. So it is available for all the scientists, students, faculties, everyone, and it makes available for computer readable format. What is computer readable format? Suppose if I will say something that my name is Anamika Singh, so it is a verbal communication, but computer is not taking any verbal communication. So there are different formats of the sequences. So we have to specify that format, and FASTA is one of the format which is universally accepted. So basically, we have to submit our data in a specific format. It provides biological experiments based information. So suppose I want to submit some genes to any database. So you can simply understand the database is just a library where large amount of books are there for history, geography, Hindi, English. Similarly, database is a specific space that is a generated 3D space or a space. Why I'm saying 3D space? Because you can easily visualize that it is just a library and there are different shelf where the genes of organism like human, vertebrates, algae, fungi, different types of genes are stored at different shelf. So research informations for other researchers for avoiding the repetition of research, and it is open access for all. So basically, open access for all means whenever you want to search any genetic thing, you can search through these databases. So main objective is to organize the data systematically and retrieve the data whenever a user is interested. It is based on biological content. So it is not required that suppose I want to submit a gene and I have just written a repetition of 1000 or 3000 or lakhs of sequences in the form of ATGC. I will be submit that sequence that this is my research. Before submitting this data, before submitting this information, I have to publish my article in a very good reputed journal, and these journals are basically responsible for integrate these sequences, and they will submit these sequences to the database. So basically, database is a collection of sequences which is having a specific function, different structures, and related bibliography. Why bibliography? Because suppose I have submitted just a fake information of gene and there is no bibliography, it means the research is not perfect. That's why bibliography, author information, journal information, volume, issue, everything is there, and it is well structured and indexed. It is having cross references, that from where you have started your research, from what is the template of your research, periodically updated. Like suppose there is a research based on COVID in 2020, in 2020, January or February. Now in 2021, there is a new variant, there is a new genome, there is a new genetic structure of same virus, there is a modification. So if a database is not periodically updated, if the new addition of genes is not able to, we are not able to periodically updated it, it means still we are having the same old version of the gene. So upgradation of database is very important. Now one of the most important things which we will talk later, that is tools and analysis and visualization. So suppose I'm having large amount of genes in a database, how we can use, how I can analyze, what I can visualize within the given gene sequences, within the given genome sequences, that is very important. So database is a complete package where you are having lots of number of genes plus some tools, as well as after analysis what is the result, and you can validate or verify that your results are perfect or not. Okay, so what are the features of biological databases? It contains, a databases contains heterogeneous data like sequence information. If it is having an information of sequence, the sequence must be in the form of raw form, must be in the form of FASTA form. It can be presented in the form of graphs within the complete genomes. Shapes can be there, pattern, extracted data can be there. Like suppose there is a large amount of genome, what are the open reading frames within the gene, that can be also extracted and identified and stored within the biological databases. It contains high volume data, because as you all are aware that gene is just a unit, but there is a complete genome. So high volume data, because databases is not having a very limited space, that you can submit only 1,000 stretch of sequences, nucleotide only 2,000, but it is having ample of a space so that you can store large volume of experimental genomic data too. Then uncertainty, that computational biological data are uncertain. So suppose if there is a experimentation.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Ma'am, the
Yes.
slides are not moving. We are seeing the same slide.
Oh, just wait. You're not in this slide?
No, now we can see a different slide. We were stuck at the same slide since the beginning.
Okay. Oh,
Yes, now we can see.
so I think there is some network issue.
Yeah,
Is it
sometimes
clear, or
it's like
slideshow is
network is slow,
important?
yeah. Now we are on the same slide, ma'am. The slide you're
Okay.
discussing. Features of biological data.
Slideshow mode will be better, ma'am.
It's better, but I think there is some issue. Okay.
We can't see the slideshow mode.
You're not seeing the slideshow mode?
No.
No.
Oh. Just wait. I will share again, just a minute. Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but not in the slideshow mode.
Again, not in a slideshow mode.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, I think the slideshow, you can go on the up. There is a slideshow tab on the top of the slide.
Mean, ma'am, full screen.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, when you're sharing, please choose the option share entire screen.
Okay.
Only then the full slide will appear, ma'am.
Okay, okay, Jay. No, it's not coming for entire screen also. No, it's
There is an option on the tab. There's a file option, and then if you move ahead, there is a slideshow
no, but
option
it's coming in
on
my,
the top.
yes, but it's coming in my laptop in the form of full screen only.
Okay, okay. I think that still we can see the slides. No problem. We can continue. Or maybe Suvita has suggested if we if we use this F7 function key.
No, it's different. I think it's vary from
Okay.
laptop to laptop.
Okay, okay. No problem, ma'am. We can continue this way.
I can share my PPTs to each and everyone if you are interested.
Right.
It's not at all a problem. Suvita?
No problem, ma'am. We can continue this way. There is no issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so uncertainty in the data, that is computational biological research are uncertain and they all must be validated through experiments. So computational data is 50-50% chances that they are the perfect data, and there is a 50% chances that the data must be validated through experiments. So whatever experimental data is there in the biological databases, that are 100%. I think there is someone has opened their mic. So uncertainty is there. Then data curation, that is arrangement of data. So if there is,
So I request, please mute yourself, everyone. Please mute yourself, so that we can hear Dr. Anamika without any interruption.
so data curation, that is arrangement of data. So if there is a biological research of a small gene, and slowly after some time there is a research based on complete genome, so we have to arrange and the data in the biological databases systematically, that small segments of gene, then ESTs, then SNPs, and then complete genome. So large scale data integration is there, data sharing must be there. So if there are 2-3 different databases, they are dedicated for nucleotide, protein, or any specific research, they must share their data so that repetition of data of arrangements is not there within the different databases. Then dynamic data, that again there is there is data added day by day, and it must be dynamic because of upgradation of databases, and easy accessible, because if you want to open your Gmail, it is very easy accessible. It is not at all a problem to open your Gmail. So similarly, if you want to fetch information from any biological databases, it should be very easy to access for everyone. So databases are different types of databases, like primary, secondary, and composite. Primary databases is that, suppose I have done a research and I have identified a new genome, new gene, new protein, that is experimental based. So I will submit that data to a primary database. But if I will do some bioinformatics work, I will change that gene, I will change that genome, I have generated a new variant, I have generated a new combination, then it is a curated things. Means on the basis of the primary sequences, I have changed the data, that is the secondary data that I have to submit in the secondary databases, that is the complete genomics, complete proteomics. And composite database means if there is an analysis along with some tools, means if database is providing analysis sequences, some tools, and different software visualization as well as analysis, then it is a complete database package, that is the composite database. So we are having different databases like for nucleotide, we are having NCBI, DDBJ, EMBL. For protein, UniProt, and different formats of NCBI is also there. Yes, any query?
No. So, Dr. Umesh, you want to say something? Okay, the slides are not moving. This is, I think now the slides are moving. We can see the next slide on nucleotide day or DNA databases. I hope everyone is able to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it can be sometimes little slow network at your part. So it takes time to transit the slide. So please wait for the slide to transit because we cannot help in that. Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay. So similarly, there are structural databases. As we are talking about the structure, it is always about the protein. So proteins are having 3D structure. So we are having databases for protein 3D structure that is based on NMR and crystallography data. So that is protein databases. Similarly, there is a literature databases. If you want to search articles, the best way is you can search through Google, but Google is not every time helping us. So you can search literature through Medline and PubMed databases. The secondary databases, there is a reference databases that is RefSec, ProCite, SwissProt are the other proteomics databases. Composite databases is NRDB, that is a complete package where the nucleotide information, analysis, software, everything is there. So INSDC is an international nucleotide sequence collaboration database collaboration that I was talking previously, that if there is a database, means if suppose I am having a research and I have identified a particular gene, then I must share that gene to a database, and database is explored. That database definitely share this information to different databases, so that there is a wide variety of same data, so that people will always start doing research. Means if I want to search in NCBI, there may chances that EMBL, I will not explore the EMBL, but there is a always distribution of same data within all these three databases, so that uniformity of data is there. But the format of storing is definitely different. So similarly, there is a protein database like SwissProt, PDB. PDB is a structural database, PIR, that is protein information database. It is again a sequence database. So why I'm talking about all these databases, because it is not required that you will go to your lab and you will take a new organism, you will get its unique gene, because it is not important that you will get a unique gene within the chlorella, isn't it? Or within any fungi or any, but it may possible that if you are having a gene, you can get something new on the basis of biology, on the basis of bioinformatics research. You can analyze the sequence, you can identify that if it is a chlorella, if it is a fungi, what are the similarity of its gene with the other organism. Is it possible that chlorella, it is a algae, it is having some genes which is also present in a plant system? Is it possible that this is an animal, it is having some gene which is sharing with the plant system or an other animal system? So this database is very important for biological research, because as a biologist, it is not always possible that I will go to my lab and I will take a new organism and I will start sequencing, I will start analyzing, I will start cloning, and then I will get a new sequence. No, but if there is a information who is a part of someone other's research, definitely there is a possibility that if there is a gene, then you can analyze, and that is your own research if it is not analyzed previously. Okay, so again, if there, I'm just talking about NCBI, it is a database. Can I show the web page of NCBI?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, just wait.
I think you'll need to share your whole window.
Yeah. I think it's visible. It's visible
Coming
to
up.
each
It's
and
coming up. Yeah.
okay.
Now we can see everything.
So this is the NCBI, that is National Center for Biotechnology Research. This is the very basic database. So this database is having large amount of data that is unanalyzed, that is not used for any further research. So you can search, you can assemble, you can different projects. There is a different variety of genes, there is a genome, there is a gene expression database, there is homologous gene, there are different nucleotides, there are different disease sequences, disease related sequences, different structures of DNA structures, what are the chemicals. So you can easily search your gene of interest or genome of interest. There is a PubMed bookshelf. There are large amount of data which is floating throughout the NCBI. You can easily use this data without any specified biological research. Specified means without any chemical, without any wet lab. So again, we'll come back to PPTs. So NCBI is just a database, but still it contains different databases as well as large amount of tools. So it is having nucleotide database, that is GenBank, literature, protein, expression, structure, as I have shown you in the picture. Along with this, it is having ESTs databases. So ESTs are basically express sequence tags. So once we start with genome analysis, or we want to analyze or get we want to sequence a complete genome. So it will not come in the form of a complete genome, like from 1 to million of the sequences. It is not coming in a one stretch, but it will come in the form of small short fragments, and these fragments are called as ESTs. And after that, through biological tools as well as through computational computer readable formats, we can combine this ESTs to form a complete genome package. Then GSS data, that is the small genomic survey that is dedicated for small organism. And homologous gene, if there is a homology, it can compare the different sequences. Then high throughput genomic sequences that collects large amount of data, and it including unfinished and finished sequences, means the data is unanalyzed. There are large number of sequences which are unnamed, means suppose if there is a plant, there is a plant, so few of the sequences are named like it is for this function, it is for this physiological function, but there are large amount of unfinished genes. It means we have to verify that what we can do with this gene and what is the role of this gene within the plant system. So analysis is very important. So there are large databases where unanalyzed data is present. Then SNP databases, that is a single nucleotide polymorphism. RefSeq is there. If you want to cross-check, validate your sequences with different databases, with different references, there is also a RefSeq databases. STS, that is short sequence tag sites. Uni-STS, this means it is uni-STS and uni-genes are the unique collections of gene which are uniquely expressed within the organism in the plant or the animal system. So databases are very important nowadays because it is just like as a Google, as I told you previously, that it is just as a Google. If you want to search for any organism, for anything, like Last year there was a spike protein. In COVID there is a spike protein E and S arm. You can see that there are large number of variants of a spike protein are there. People have just identified few of the spike protein, and they have done tremendous research on the spike protein, and they have just modeled each and every aspect of the 3D structure of a spike protein. They have docked, they have compiled these structures with different azadirachtin, curcumin, different types of molecules. So this is possible because once I will do a research, biological research, and I will submit this information to a database that is accessible for each and everyone. So basically there is a large amount of gene where you can use. So it is based on experiment. So these data or genes are the experimental based, and it can be a basis of your research. If you want to use it, it can be your basics of the research. Then what is gene editing? Gene editing is basically cutting and pasting of a small section of a gene into the other homologous or the non-homologous gene sections. So these are the few methods. You all are aware that there is a restriction enzyme pattern, zinc finger nuclease, there is a talent gene editing, and as this FDP is whole roaming around the CRISPR-Cas gene editing technique. But I'm not the exact expert for these all the genome editing techniques, but I can show you a bit about what you can do computationally if you want to edit a gene. So first of all, it is a possible way that if there is a sequence, it may possible that it is not finished or it is not marked as a gene, because because there is a unfinished genes are also there, means they are not there means people have not identified their exact role, whether it is gene or not, whether it is coming in the intron section, in the extron section, or what exactly it is. So unfinished genes are there, so you can easily identify by using different tools and software that whether it is a gene or not. So tracing and marking a specific gene of your interest means, first of all, you have to identify the problem, that what exactly you want to do for your research. Then if there is a gene sequence, it is a gene or not, you can identify a specific gene within your stretch. You can select enzyme. There is a different enzyme databases that this section will splice with by using this enzyme. It is available in market or not. You can cut with this. You want a small stretch, you want a large stretch, because this computational gene editing is basically a supporting document or a supporting side-by-side technology with your biological research. But at the same time, if you want to do a good research, it is not possible to do a complete biotechnology research without bioinformatics nowadays, because half of the part it is completely covered by bioinformatics research. So enzyme selection, you can select with databases, you can identify possible sites of interest, you can identify ORFs, that is open reading frames. You can design primers by using different tools. You can also analyze what are the possible outcomes. So suppose I am a biologist and I want to do a research. You can see this is what is this? What you can understand with this picture? Anyone can tell me?
So you can type in your answers in the chat.
You can type in your chat box. I will read. No answer? Yes?
Yeah.
Keck pathway. Thank you, Ratna. Yeah, it's Keck pathway. So Keck pathway is basically, so if you want to focus your research, I'm talking about unfinished research, means the genes which you have, which is not specified within the database, but it is raw present in the database. So Keck pathway, it is a very large collection of it is a very simple image, but if you can see these green sites, there are some names written. So these are the specific, it is talking about some specific genes, it is talking about some specific enzymes, it is talking about the steps of formation of one by one what are the steps of p53 signaling pathway. That is in different stress condition, like see, like in UV, in chronic drugs, and different types of depressions. So what are the impact of a gene, or what are the impact on a enzyme, and what are the modifications of changes within the p53 gene? So it is the KEGG pathway, so you can easily trace your gene of interest. If you want to modify, it is need not to bother about the biological research, wet lab research. You can easily trace a gene or enzyme of your interest. You can model it, you can dock it, you can analyze it, you can identify the phylogeny of this, you can identify that this type of gene is present in which pathway, which organism, and if there is a modification in p53 pathway, is it possible that same pathway is present in the plant or not? So any type of analysis you can do, or you can analyze, you can identify by using a single gene of this KEGG pathway. So KEGG is basically a pathway, or it is a database for chemical research in from Kyoto University. It is a computerized resources for biological pathway and interpretation of complete genome sequences. KEGG is basically a computer representation of biological system. Means suppose one of my student, as we all are aware that KEGG like COVID is having an impression that COVID is similar to influenza, isn't it? So we are trying to trace back the pathway of COVID, okay, and we are trying to analyze that what are the difference of influenza genetic structure. Genetic structure means pathway structure, and what is the pathway structure of COVID, because nowadays till now there are large amount of genetic information of COVID is there. Yes, okay. So large amount of genetic information of COVID is there. So we can compare the influenza virus with COVID. Now, what are the different Omicron? There is what variant it is, and what are the differences of pathways of this. So you can easily compare, identify, analyze, and publish in a very good journals. So now this is the GUI, graphic user interface of Kyoto Encyclopedia for Genes and Genomes. You can identify the table of content. There is a pathway. There is a functional units of the KEGG. There are different modules. Homology there is there. Genome is there. Genes are there. Different biological compounds are there. That is a small molecule which are formed at the time of during the time of any metabolism. That is the secondary metabolites collection is there. So again, there is a system module. These are the different sections of the KEGG pathway. You can go and you can have different types of information. You can search complete pathway, single gene information, enzyme information, everything is there. But this KEGG pathway is for the complete gene information, genetic information, like for plants and the animals. But if you want to do a research on E. coli or on a small microorganism, there is a different pathway. That is the EcoPsych is especially dedicated for E. coli research, and MetaPsych is a pathway database that is for a small organism and microbial focuses. So there are different collections of enzyme. Again, gene information is there, graphical information is there. So EcoPsych and MetaPsych are also the two different pathways. So as I was talking about that if there is a stretch of a sequence, but you're not aware whether it is having a gene or not. So there are so many different simple tools where you can easily identify that it is gene or not. So gene finding tools are there that basically searches and shows you the encoding part of the DNA. So gene tools are providing you the information about the gene. That is the complete genes means always there is a start to end. So Glimmer and the GenScan is basically online server based, and Glimmer is you can easily download it on your system. So this is the GUI. So you can search with this vertebrate. If you want to search for a vertebrate, for a fungus or different organism, you can search with this. You can write the name, you can paste the DNA sequences which you have taken it from your database, or you can also upload it. Then it will give you result in the form of this. That gene start from this region to this region. Okay, so in this result it shows that there are different types of genes which are starting from 74 to 174. It is present in the terminal site or intermediate site or at the signal site. So the complete gene information is there, but the question is how it is searching this genes. Means you have just submitted a sequence, isn't it? You have just submitted a sequence and it is giving you a complete gene. How it is possible? Is it possible? It is giving, you have just submitted an unfinished gene, a short stretch of sequence, and the software is giving you the gene information that it is starting from 74 to 174. How it is possible? Because again, there is an important role of databases. Now, what is the role of databases? Because suppose I am doing some research on a specific gene and I am having 100 stretch of a nucleotide and I have submitted into database. Similarly, there are large number of scientists who have submitted their different genes within the databases. So there are million trillion of the gene information within the databases. Once you have submitted your short stretch of the sequences, okay, then it will just match your sequence, target sequence, with each and every sequence. Like suppose I have given you a small piece of cloth of red color, okay, and I inform you, I told you that you can okay, like if I will say that you can serve the similar type of cloth. So what is your question, ma'am? Please give me a small piece of the cloth by which I will get the same cloth, isn't it? So similar to this, if I will give cloth to a specific person, he or she will definitely get the same cloth or the same material from Delhi NCR region. But if I will just tell you that it is red in color, that you will get different types of reds. Okay, so similarly, what it is doing, it is searching your query with the databases, it is matching your sequences, and if it is matching it more than 60-70%, it varies from software to software, tools to tools, it will give you result in the form of a gene. That's why always bioinformatics is a prediction based. It is not 100% true. So it is just a prediction, but on the basis of prediction, you can further do your research. So this is the identification of gene. Then there is an enzyme database. So now you are having a gene. So you want to search for enzyme. So there is an enzyme databases. It is the collection of, it is basically collecting large amount of enzymatic information, DNA methyltransferase, restriction enzymes, as well as some specific restriction sites are there. Again, there is a restriction sites, cleavage sites. So if you will give your short stretch of gene, then it will give result in the form of what are the restriction sites. Again, it is the matching phenomena. Okay, so Rebase is an enzyme database. Like you have already identified the gene. Now you have identified the enzyme. So this is the GUI of Rebase, that is restriction enzyme database. Now you want to cut your sequence. Like in practical, in wet lab, we are cutting our sequences, split and blunt end and slice end, isn't it? So if we will submit our sequence, our gene, our complete genome, our short stretch of sequence to this tool, that is NepCutter and rehunt, it is giving you some splice and along with enzymatic information, so you can search that this enzyme is present in Rebase or not, if you can commercially purchase it or not. So everything is there. So restriction maps are there, there are theoretical digest, that what are the different enzyme. Even there are enzyme substitutes are there that you can use this enzyme in place of this also if it is not available commercially. So it is also updated daily on daily basis. Then there is a rehunt, that is restriction enzyme hunting. It is also similar to NepCutter. You can search the quick restriction enzyme searches through our different sequences. It is available, restriction enzyme provided and regularly updated from Rebase. So NepCutter and rehunt both are interlinked with Rebase. Next is ORF findings. What is ORF? That is the open reading frame identification of within the gene. That is, you have to identify the start and the stop codon. You all are aware that start codon is this, but these tools are not specified for algae or fungi. It is universally accepted for any type of genes or genome. Okay, so this is the GUI for ORF. You have to submit your complete sequence in this frame. You can write the accession number. Accession number, that is a specific number for a particular gene or DNA. Then you will get results in the form of this, that is, it is having ORF plus that is the sense strand minus that is the anti-sense strand. So different types of ORF you can easily identify. See, this is the large maroon and this small block. These all are the short stretches of open reading frames which is present within the submitted DNA sequences. Now again, after that you can identify or you can design the primer on the basis of your sequence. That is through electronic PCR or ePCR. You have to submit your small stretch of sequence within the this FASTA sequence or accession number. Then you want to, if you want a small stretch, you can do all the parameters. That is, without changing any parameter, you can just click, and after, on the basis of your research, you can design forward primer, reverse primer, what are the strength, how long it is, then primer temperature, everything you can design by using this electronic PCR or ePCR tool. Again, primer designing is again a hit based method. So all the bioinformatics tools are basically working on the basis of storing or collection of data which is previously stored. There is a plasmid database, that is the plasmid PlasDB, that is plasmid database. It is resources for it is having all the resources for bacterial plasmids. Vector databases, different collection of plasmids are there. There is a tool called restriction free cloning tool. Restriction free cloning tool, it is a tool, it is a very beautiful tool. Yes. Okay. Nothing special.
Yeah, yeah, Dr. Thakur, you want to say something? I think by mistake she raised her hand.
Okay. So it is a very beautiful tool because you have to just submit your sequence. You have to just select. So if there is a very small idea of any research, like if I know that this is the plasmid and I want to see that what I can incorporate within this gene. So I will just select a small stretch of nucleotide sequence of my interest and I will select this plasmid from this. That is the first, second and third, fourth. It is very simple tool. Just so this is the first is you have to just select the plasmid, just select the name of the plasmid, then we have orientation plus and minus. Okay, then after that plasmid sequence will come. Just after the selection you have to paste your sequence and draw the complete picture. It will draw automatically the complete picture of the plasmid, and then it will give result that this green part is the merged part, that the specific gene which you want to insert within the plasmid. Now you can easily design the primer, you can easily design the restriction site, whatever you want to do with this you can easily do. So this is the very beautiful tool, restriction free cloning. So you can have a brief idea about the few databases, tools, some software, as well as there are different software for different tools for your CRISPR-Cas research also, like for zinc finger also, for eTELIN also. eTELIN is a tool which is for gene editing on the basis of talents. Zinc finger resources are for zinc finger modification. There is a CRISPR-Cas gene editing software. So you can do large number of research by using bioinformatics tool without wasting your time, without hit and trial in your wet lab. So hope you all enjoyed and a lot, and hope you get something out of this lecture. Thank you so much. Thank you for sparing time with me. If any questions, they're most welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we are getting a lot of good feedback from all the participants in the chat box. So they really liked the session and it was really informative. So there are some questions which are coming up. So please post your questions in the chat box. I'll read out the questions for Anamika ma'am to answer. So, ma'am, there is one question that can we check the orientation of insertion of our gene of interest in the plasmid using any of the computational tools?
Yes, definitely. Because I think, see, this is the plus and the minus side. Na? There is a,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
wait a minute.
So, in the meantime, I request all of you to please post your questions. Please feel free to discuss whatever doubts and queries you had, be it the smallest query you have.
See, there is
So,
a insert description is there. So if there is a positive plus and the minus, that is for orientation. So there is a arrow. So in the tool, you go and you search that what exactly you want, which orientation means plus side, minus side. Okay. So every option is there, and these options are just generated for biological research, because it is not the IT people. IT people, they are developing the tool, but the team of biologists are there. So they are saying that this is my requirement, what is the orientation, ऐसा कैसे होगा, primer कैसे बनेगा, stretch इतना होना चाहिए. So there are large number of things which a biologist can understand, but an IT people cannot. So these tools are developed by IT people, but the each and every requirement is fulfilled by these tools.
okay, so that means this tool for gene cloning, it allows you to actually decide which side you want to keep on the positive on the negative
On the
side.
negative side, yeah.
Right. So, ma'am, next question is kindly give some views regarding the off targets for guide RNA designing. So, are there some tools available for guide RNA designing, or is there a database?
I don't have any idea about RNA designing,
Yeah.
because RNA designing is because if I'm talking about RNA designing, it means definitely there is a designing of DNA also. So
Yeah.
RNA designing databases are there, different RNA databases, RNA-DB is there, RNA databases are there, but designing is something very different.
Mhm. Correct.
Uh,
So I
uh,
think I can also add on to this answer to what Dr. Anamika has just told you. So there is one thing which there are many tools offered by different companies also. So CRISPR has become such a commercialized technology that every company, be it Sigma, be it G Biosciences, or be it your Synthego. So all these different portals and companies, even there is a portal at Broads Institute. So they offer these free platforms to design your guide RNA, which is specific to your target. So there, using these platforms, you can design your guide RNA depending on the number of sequences you want to have, depending on the specificity you want to have towards your target. So you can freely use these tools for designing of your guide RNA. So any other questions? So there is one question from Dr. Saida. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful and informative session. So her question is, do all the databases are open uh, source to the use to use the gene? just guide me by using the gene editing tool. IT people can do research in gene extraction and plant. So actually, Saida ma'am wants to know what are the different key tools which we can use for databases which we can use for gene editing purposes. So I think
Okay.
Saida ma'am has already shown a list of tools which are available. So ma'am,
Yeah,
you can throw
databases
some
are
light on
open
this.
source. These all databases are open source. You can easily get and fetch the gene and you can start your research and just guide me using the gene editing how IT people do research in gene expression extraction in plants. Yeah, IT people can do research in gene extraction in plant. Yeah, IT people are not doing basically the IT people. No, no. I mean, IT people are not doing extraction. They are just designing. They are writing the program. They are doing their coding part. But whatever I required means, as a biologist, what is my requirement? Okay, what is my requirement? I will tell to a specific IT people. Means these all databases, these all programs are designed by biologists along with some IT specialist. So if there is a issue of orientation, getting the orientation enzyme information, so how IT people will know that what is restriction enzyme? Then I have to tell as a biologist that what is restriction enzyme, what is the requirement. On the basis of that, they will write a specific coding languages. On the basis of coding languages, they will write a specific programs.
Ma'am. So because we biologists are the problem creators, and these problems are we bring these problems to the IT people or the programming guys, and they help us to create specific algorithms and programs to solve these biological problems. So any other question from the participants? So related to databases, computational gene editing, any question you have? Or any experiences you all have you would like to discuss here. So I think most of you are working in your research labs or you are publishing your research papers. So you must be using one or the other bioinformatic tools. Okay. So it seems, ma'am, they are fully satisfied and happy knowing all this new information about databases, about what you explained, how we can use these databases for our research, how different genome editing tools are available on the web for our use, and how these computational gene editing methods can be easily used for solving our problems. Also, the most interesting part was the pathway analysis softwares that you showed us that can help us in creating the whole pathway network, like, for example, this KEGG pathway network. So it was overall a very informative and interesting session, as ma'am, you must have seen in the chat box. So participants are really happy listening all this information. So thank you so much from my side. So Dr. Chetali Ghosh has one question. So she's saying that is there any course in bioinformatics which my undergraduate students can do along with their semesters?
Yeah, yeah, there are large number of courses like 2 months, 3 months, 2 weeks courses are there. Even in Metri College, Delhi University, we have 3 months short-term courses because we are having a short-term committee. So they are organizing 2 months, 3 months short-term courses for bioinformatics. Even large number of universities are nowadays organizing such a short courses. So you can easily register them in the
Right.
courses, or if anyone needs any type of help related to bioinformatics, most welcome.
Yeah. So all the participants, so if you have any further questions, you can direct to me and I can again go back to Dr. Anamika for solving and would help you to solve those questions. And also I shall put this recording on the YouTube channel and share the link with you so that anytime you have again the query or you want to relearn, so I can again you can revisit the videos. So, ma'am, many participants want your email ID.
Yeah, I'm just typing. Yeah, so this is my mail ID, asing@mathri.du.ac.in.
Great. Okay, so I hope all the participants have filled up their attendance form. There is no one left. If still there is someone who has not filled, I have again posted the link for the attendance. Please use this for filling up your attendance. Post that, I'll not accept any attendance. So no attendance through the WhatsApp group, please. So thank you, everyone. We shall rejoin at 2 p.m. for again a new horizon through CRISPR-Cas, that is use of sickle cell treatment of sickle cell anemia. How the technology is helping us to understand how genetic diseases like sickle cell anemia can be reversed and can be treated through genome editing. So let's again rejoin at 2 p.m. using the same link.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meghna. Thank you so much, participants.
Thank you, ma'am. We are overwhelmed having you here. Okay. So we all will gather at 2 p.m. again. Thank you. Have a great day.